slow down just long enough to hear her cry? Can you unplug from all the noise? Can you clear some time? I know you were busy putting on what you think is you. And she's already here, and she's calling for life anew. Life that's closer, closer to the life that's closer, closer to the bone. Can you set down your shield, step down and reveal what's inside? I promise it'll leave you freer when you don't have to hide. 'Cause what's happening inside you is exactly what needs to be. And I know you want it. I know you want to be free. Life's closer, closer to the bone. Living closer, closer, closer to the bone. Closer, closer to these bones. I want closer, closer to bone. Thank you.
Thank you for singing your heart out. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I think I might be that generation that is bridging. Like, I'm still the one that's like, don't make me cry. When I cry, I get so mad. Like, what's that about? Because we're so uncomfortable with it. We weren't raised to do that. We were raised to, who was saying children are to be seen and not heard? I'm still tipping out of that generation. And I had so much to say. That was really good stuff. You parents these days are doing a great job. And I know, oh my God, it's so hard. So, it's not what I intended to say, of course. Let me get my notes. But I do want to say this. We were having a conversation on Valentine's, Heidi and I. We had, 5 teenage girls in our basement that night, so we tiptoed over across to the local dive bar and had a burger. And we were just talking about how this younger people are just okay with their feelings, and they talk about them, and then it's over. Whereas I'm like, okay, it's going to take me down. I'll never come back. No, they're moving something through. And it can feel so scary, and especially when you discover stuff deep down in there that you really thought, gosh, I thought I talked about that with my therapist. I did, but I didn't continue. It's like layer after layer after layer. So this idea of revolutionary love, to begin that with ourselves, is not a luxury. It's not a self-indulgence. In fact, Valerie Carr says it's really an act of longevity. Like if you want to keep living and living well, you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to love yourself. So I want to give her full credit. I'm using a lot of her material, which she says is okay. But you can go to revolutionarylove.org/learn, and there's a whole bunch of great material there. I encourage you to do that. Valerie is defining revolutionary love as a choice to enter into labor for ourselves, for others, and for our opponents, as a way to transform the world around us. We know the other way. We've been in world wars. We've seen the other way of separation and segregation and all the horrible ways that we think humanity thinks itself into some hierarchy of prioritizing human beings. It's made up. And we're realizing that. And so the power of love is indeed calling upon this life force that we call God to work through us. And beginning with ourselves. I want to say that, she says loving ourselves is revolutionary. Self-love, true, deep-reaching self-love is not a luxury, but a requirement for our time. And only then can we really show up for each other. And certainly to know that through the pain we've dealt with in ourselves, what must be going on in that opponent that they are acting out. So on the compass, the Revolutionary Love Compass, which, by the way, there are handouts by the bulletins. Grab one for yourself if you haven't. She calls this section, when we're loving ourselves, she likens it to a birthing metaphor. Breathe and push toward transition. So I want to say this. She's calling on the wisdom of the midwife in support of this great idea, to see the darkness of our times not as the darkness of the tomb, but as the darkness of the womb. What? Something new is trying to be born. That is not easy. It can be painful. It can be scary. Listen, I have never birthed a child. In fact, when I had to get my wisdom teeth extracted, I thought, well, thank God I'm not having a child. Like if I have to have a colonoscopy, I say, well, I could be giving birth. I just can't. I can't wrap my mind around what it takes. So kudos to those of you who've done that. And here's an important part to this so that you don't hear yourself as not included in this, particularly if you're in a male body. Valerie is using this metaphor for the wisdom that it brings for all of us. She says, no matter who you are, no matter what body you live in, you can take these tools as your own. You see, the ability to create and nurture is a human right, not a biological one. And the wisdom of the midwife can be useful to all of us. She goes on to tell a helpful story that throughout most of human history, only a subset of men, mostly men, have had the experience of going to war. And yet when we say fight the good fight or soldier on, we know what that means. It's tapping into the courage it takes to fight. So too, only a subset of women give birth. I'm sorry, what's happening here? Only a subset of women give birth or give birth in that particular way described by the midwife. Yet the courage to birth new life contains wisdom for us all. We will need to breathe, we will need to push, and we will need to know that we too are getting transformed in the process. I might need another headset. Sorry, so I don't drive you all crazy. Or is it just me? I'm real easy to drive crazy. Ask my family. You too, huh? Welcome. Welcome, sir. So that is why the first lesson of loving ourselves begins with the practice of breath, which we talked about last week. Thank you, Liz. Easiest thing we can do. How's that? Okay. Oh, technology. There we go. The practice of taking conscious deep breaths. It's an act of creating space and regulating our nervous system. Anyone's nervous system on the edge of fried? Oh, God. Are we going to have a problem with this one? Okay, I can use that if we need to. If you've been around me the last few months, some people are like, are you okay? I'm like, just breathing. I'm constantly taking deep breaths. The luxurious, optional yoga practice, not optional, not luxurious. I can't pretend to hold it together if I don't do that in the morning. Move some of that energy out of my body, catch my breath, cry, do whatever I need to do. All of this is to say, I hope you're doing that too. You know, it can feel like, who has time to, oh, look at you getting that up. Thank you. There's the Revolutionary Love Compass from Carly, the best slide maker I know. She's more than that, of course. So how are you breathing today? How are you breathing through take the news out of it. Being a human being usually has some challenges. People get sick. People die. We lose our jobs. We lose our spouse. Take a breath. Give yourself that. Think about our breath as the most basic and universal wellness tool. So what makes breathing like an act of revolutionary love? Choosing to love yourself by taking time to breathe, literally and metaphorically, is a way we assert that loving our body, taking care of our body through a simple act of breath, which slows our mind, which helps our nervous system, is a primal act of loving ourselves. And I just share that with you because it's so simple. Sometimes it's like, I've got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, right? Sometimes when I take a breath and I just become present to what's going on in me, that's the gift. That's the gift. So today, beyond the breath, we're setting the foundational work for ourselves of this idea of revolutionary love. Our breath is the way in that we ground into and listen to and listen for that deep inner wisdom. Particularly listening and cultivating a voice that is more gentle with ourselves. Valerie shares this sweet story of how she discovered this place within her. See if you can relate. Maybe not to every detail, but to the conclusion. A few years ago, I noticed that whenever my best friends or my students would come ask me for my advice, I would listen with an open heart. I would summon from the depths of me exactly what I thought they needed, and I would sound so tender and truthful. I would even tell them the hard things, but do it with compassion, and I would turn into this very wise woman. I noticed that this voice in me, this wise woman voice, started to get very strong after my children were born. I remember one day I was holding my newborn son in my arms and saying, "Oh, my love, you are so brave. You are so strong. You are so good." And my husband looked at me and said, "Why don't you talk to yourself that way?" Who dared to laugh? He was right. I realized that while I would turn into this very wise woman for the people closest in my life, and now my children, I would affirm their dignity, I would affirm their goodness, their strength, their grace, their beauty, their bravery, but how many times did I fail to do that for myself? When it came to talking to my own self, I was so unkind. It was as if there was a voice inside of me saying, "You're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not smart enough to do all that you want to do. You can't show up like that. You should ask for permission. They're not ready to hear you. Don't make waves. Be careful. You're not enough. You're not enough. You're not enough." Sound familiar? Who is that voice? Get it out of there. My husband knew that voice in me, and he was inviting me to speak to myself as I would my own best friend, to speak to myself as I had my own beloved children. And it's really hard to do that sometimes after you've had years and years of practice. So we have to first own that we do that and recognize the pain and the havoc we caused for ourselves and realize we can make another choice. This is the foundation of the unity practice of affirmations. We affirm the greater truth of our wisdom, of our inherent goodness, and we begin, but we first have to pluck up those limiting thoughts, because otherwise we're just sort of doing platitudes. We're not getting to the root. And I'll tell you, as I've already told you, I did that the hard way. I spent a good 10 years here just feeling so good about myself because I was a child of God. That is so great. I knew it all along. But there was part of me that didn't know it, that wouldn't even let that truth anywhere near it. So how deep could that truth really get if I was constantly denying it when it got real close to the truth of who I thought I was? Not all the time, but in those real crucial moments. So we have to go deep below the surface. It's sort of like, you wouldn't go out and plant your beautiful new garden without pulling up the weeds and tending the soil. You might. I would, because I'm lazy like that. But it wouldn't turn out well. So however they got there, those messages that make you say that make you turn on yourself, you might need to explore that. I have. But the real truth is I needed to just bring some love and care to that place. Why is that so hard? I can do it for you all. I can do it for the kids mostly. Sometimes I lose my patience. but mostly. But when I'm doubting, when I'm hurting, when I'm struggling, what is wrong with you? So, there is, though, this beautiful connection, right? It's not either or. So this idea of spirituality that I was learning, that I was this expression of the divine, which I do believe, and I believe it for you too, but it was like separate, right? I was only in it when I was perfect, when I was doing my affirmations, but when I needed it the most, I couldn't find it. What good is that? I wrestled with my faith. I have. Is it for me? And I believe it was my ability to stick with it and to bring the light of love to those places and those spaces, and I do feel like that's a spiritual experience. That is the movement of love of God in us. And I did get strengthened by it. I did find the light shining there. Valerie concludes, you see, if we are constantly acting out of a sense of fear, anxiety, scarcity, not enoughness, then we'll never be able to fulfill our own deepest potential. Which is why we're here. We'll never be able to show up to our deepest and give our deepest offering to the world. But if we are learning how to summon our own deepest wisdom, if we are letting ourselves be guided by that wisdom, then how we show up for ourselves and for others, we will show up with love. And that is how we play our role in this time in history. Imagine, she says, imagine if a critical mass of people are being led by their deepest wisdom. Perhaps that is how we birth the world we dream of. And so we are summoning our deepest wisdom, not just for ourselves. It is an act of collective liberation. As we heal ourselves, as we stand in our own purpose, we add to the good of the world. We're needed. So how do we do it? It's foundational to locate that inner wisdom in yourself, which we often call our divine nature. I think of Prince. Sorry, I should give you a little more. The entity formerly known as God, right? If that works for you, great, but it's really big, and it's really out there, and there's a lot of baggage with it. So find the nature and the feeling that speaks to you. It knows you. It knows how to get your attention. It knows what to say. It knows how you feel. So even those of us who've been doing that with God for all these years, I think there's learning. There's shedding. There's making it more personal. So that when you are in great distress, you know right where to look. You can feel it. Not, you've got to get yourself together so you can connect with God. How many of you have said over the years, I haven't been here because I've just been struggling. I know it's not very unity. Oh, God. Please don't do that to yourself. Unity is the message that we need in order to hold ourselves when we're not at our best, to know that there's more of us, and yet to be gentle with the experience we're having. So, we're going to practice it. I want to say one more thing about this breathe, push, transition metaphor. Sometimes the labor is so difficult, our inner voice might say, I can't do it. It's too hard. I've been there. I still am there, if I'm honest. So I was really glad to read this. This is usually a sign we are in transition. We are stretching, we are growing, we're becoming more than we were. That's good news, right? Okay. When you want to give up, call upon sources of bravery in your life, your friends, your family, your ancestors, and learn to tap into the inner voice of your own wisdom. Keep breathing and pushing. We must transition ourselves as we prepare to transition our world. So I'm going to share a modified meditation that Valerie offered in her Revolutionary Love Training Guide for tapping into that place and that space within you. Getting still and listening. So I'm going to ring the singing bowl, which invites us to drop from our heads to our hearts. You might just do this real quick for those of you who are feeling sleepy. There we go. Okay. Next, I'm going to turn the air conditioning on. That's for a different reason. Okay. Take a breath. Let the sound draw you inward. Go ahead and, again, plant your feet firmly on the ground and own your connection to this nurturing Mother Earth that supports you every day. Give yourself a gift, that gift of those conscious breaths. Taking one deep breath. If it's comfortable for you to close your eyes or lower your gaze, you can breathe into any space in your body that might need to readjust or relax a little bit. And let your breath just be your entry into welcoming the experience of being you right here, right now. Sense of your physical body, your heart beating. Maybe any aches or pains you want to breathe a little love to. Ultimately, we want that breath to begin to relax our body and slow down our minds. Letting our breath come in, we let it come, we let it go. Don't need to be any different than we are, don't need to judge how we're doing it. We're just taking this time to connect with ourselves through our breath, through our body. That rhythm of our breathing offers our mind a little bit of a rest in this present moment. Not in the past, not in the future, just right here, right now. Let it come and let it go. And just invite you to continue dropping your attention inward with a true sense of curiosity. A sense of wonder at what you're carrying in your body in this moment. And the quality of your breath. And notice if you're able to get curious for a deeper exploration, to go a little deeper within yourself. And if not, just get curious about that and trust your wisdom. If you're ready, let's see where it can take you. So the invitation is to get really curious about where the deepest wisdom inside of you resides. I invite you to ask yourself, if there's a physical place in my body, where might I choose to imagine that deep wisdom living? Where might it be? Maybe the crown of your head or your throat, your heart or your belly. Let yourself feel it in your own body. And once you've found that place, just choose one for this moment. Just get curious again about what that deep wisdom inside of you looks like. Does it have a shape? Is it an animal, an object, a landscape, a place? Hone in on it. When I did this, I saw a black bear with a giant red beating heart. So find something that speaks to you. What form is it taking? And just let those images come to you. Let your attention settle on one without any judgment. And once you've got it, I invite you to take another breath, sending that breath right to that place in your body where your deepest wisdom resides. With every breath you take, let it come. And give it a name. What name do you give this deepest wisdom inside of you? However faint it may be, I believe it's true that this deep wisdom has been wanting your attention. It's been longing to tell you something. It's been waiting for the noise out there and the noise in here, in your head, to get quiet enough to hear that voice. This deepest wisdom in you knows exactly what you need to be brave with your own life right here, right now. So I invite you to get really quiet and allow yourself to listen. You might hear words or see images. You might just get a feeling. Just keep letting it in, receiving what that deep wisdom has to tell you. Grab hold of a few words or an image that you can take with you, that you can return to. And for now, we give great thanks that we have this capacity to know and to search for and to open up to and listen to wisdom that comes from something outside of us. It is the essence of our being, that spiritual nature upon which all of creation exists. So tune into it. It is a gift, yours for the taking. And it is a crucial way that we move forward in healing ourselves, loving ourselves, finally believing that we are enough. So I invite you to take a deep breath.
We are healing ourselves. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother. At this time we are assigned to align with the divine, to hold the conduit open for love to arrive. We are healing ourselves. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother. At this time we are assigned to align with the divine, to hold the conduit open for love to rise.
So sweet. Thank you. Bring your attention back to this time and space. I didn't get to it, but I want to remind us as we look to Jesus as our teacher and way shower, our elder brother, that was his one commandment, right? that we should love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. What does that mean? Metaphysically, we understand this word, the Lord, to mean the activity of our spiritual nature. May that be the highest, the Lord of our being. And when we know that, then we are able to then, as the second thing says, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Same thing we're talking about. Now a tool. How do we do that? Through this revolutionary love compass, turning that compass to whoever you're needing help with loving. But there's an inference there. We often talk about the importance of loving our neighbor, which is important, but the inference there is that you love yourself. So when you're bad to your neighbor, we can make an assumption. You're not taking care of yourself, not loving yourself. None of you would be bad to your neighbors. Right, Val? My neighbor's here. Okay, thank you. That was my little addendum. So I want to take this time now to consider all that you give in service of this ministry, in support of this ministry. Your donations are the reason that we are able to continue doing what we do. And so if you have found this time today meaningful, or hopefully, I shouldn't say that, I guess. Hopefully it has been of service to you. You will consider making a donation today. Many of you do that online. We thank you for that. There are baskets in the back for cash and check as you're leaving. There's also a QR code in your bulletin for how you can give electronically. So thank you for all that you do and all that you give in service of Unity Spiritual Center Denver. We are grateful for you. So I'd like to ask you to join me in blessing the offering together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I circulate. I am thankful. And now we have a really fun song.
Yes,
I love this song too.
I also just want to say thank you so much. It's a gift to play for people whose hearts are open, and I can always feel that when I play here. Second thing, I'm playing in St. Paul, Minnesota for the first time this weekend. Yeah, it's very exciting, and I don't know many people there. So if you know anybody there, tell them to come see Sarah Adams. Oh, you do, right here. You're from there. This is good. Okay, we can talk after. Jesus Christ was a handsome man. He had nothing to hide. He said, give bread to the hungry. Bring the homeless inside. Jesus Christ was a dangerous man. That's the way that he died. He said, be good to the people you love and love everybody alive. Be good to the people. Be good to the people. Be good to the people you love and love everybody alive. Dr. King was a preacher. He had God on his side. He said, all God's children are brothers and sisters. Don't cast your brother aside. Dr. King was a dangerous man to power. He had nothing to hide. He said, be good to the people you love. Love everybody alive. Sing it with me, it's easy. Be good to the people. Be good to the people. Be good to the people you love. And love everybody alive. good, be good to the people. Be good to the people.